trusting the process. Everything that happens is in divine right order. And so, there was just a little pause there. And the pregnant pause is a good thing. So as you find yourself letting go of everything that has been and everything that will be, just right here and right now, recognizing that each of us is doing the same. And as we do, we become one in the impress of spirit. And I call it good and very grateful. And so I let it be, and so it is. Welcome to bringing unity to life. And the fact that we're sitting in a unity center, that's a play on words. I'm not actually talking about bringing this unity to life. I'm talking about bringing spiritual unity to life. The concept of unity as spiritual awareness and human consciousness is foundational to living the science of mind teaching. Unification is the second step in our affirmative prayer process, and you all have heard that, a million times. But what does it mean to bring the practice of living unity into down-to-earth, everyday terms? What human feelings, actions, and intentions generate the experience of unity? The importance of bringing unity to life is the feeling of a sense of unity as a lasting connection, that we have our place among our peers, that we are valued and that we are loved, and ultimately that we come to understand not only that we're loved, but that we are love. One of the interesting things about how perceptions of what we do here kind of swing between the spiritual and the human is sometimes when we are talking about the co-creative process and how the law of attraction works and all that kind of stuff, every once in a while we stop and we say to ourselves, where is the love? And what's true is the love is everything, and it's so close that we can't actually objectively see it normally. You can't, it's like, I don't know if you've ever heard the analogy, but some people say that fish that are in water, the water is so much of what they are, they don't know they're in water. And that's very much the way we are. We are so much of spirit, and we're so in and through and as spirit that we don't know what spirit is. We don't know what the water we swim in is in that way. So I want to give you a little overview of what I'm going to talk about today. And first, I'm going to offer a couple of definitions of unity for the purpose of talking about how we bring unity into everyday living. And then you may have noticed that we haven't had our special music for today, and that's because it's going to be a part of a demonstration of what I'm talking about. And then we'll talk about what Ernest Holmes has to say about applying unity in a delightful explication that he gave. And then I want to tell you a story of what I experienced that let me know that I wanted to develop this talk to share with everybody. And along the way, we'll talk about some examples of where actually living unity is all around us, but we don't very often, in my experience, at least until this happened to me, I didn't recognize how often I didn't really know when I was seeing living unity. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. So the definitions that I have are, in spirit, our essence and origin, unity is the natural, eternal state of all creation. Our essence is love. Our nature is law. And they work together in tandem. In human terms, living unity is the temporary surrendering or giving up of individual autonomy and creativity for the sake of dynamic embodied union with others in pursuit of a higher purpose and greater expression than is possible to do by ourselves. Think, for example, of our vocal ensemble. You know, we had the directorship of Lowe, and he did that for us just the other day. You know, so many parts melding together to make something more than any one of us could do by ourselves. And with that thought in mind, now we have our creative music. This is going to be the Little Drummer Boy for Christmas, done by a group called Pentatonics. And as you're listening, the thing to realize is, as far as I know, everything on that recording is done by human voices. Listen to how it builds. Each individual is dispensable to the whole, and the effects of each individual's contributed part add up exponentially. This is why it is said, in effect, that a combined whole is greater than the sum of its parts. This is true in earthly human terms. It's also true spiritually in the operation of consciousness. Here's an analogy that Ernest Holmes gives on the subject, and I am delighted to be able to say that this piece that I'm going to read to you now is actually part of a class project of one of the students of the Essential Ernest Holmes class that just completed this last week. The student's name is Maruk Neville. And I have to tell you guys, this was a demonstration for me, because I'm like, trying to pick pearls of threads of things to demonstrate this. And she sends in this assignment. I'm like, yes. She says, Ernest believed in the principle of teaching, so the individual can learn of his own free will, not where the individual blindly forces himself into something he may not truly understand. Ernest said, the dedication of a physical building like a church happens because of the unity of the congregation. He compared it to the strength of rope, whose united strands make up something stronger than any of the strands could be on their own, and would withstand and hold a lot of weight. He imagined how a united consciousness of members would be strong enough so not to allow any one member to be such an authority over the whole group, just absorbing spiritual concepts. This would allow the power of God to multiply through their united consciousness. Our consciousness is part of the infinite eternal consciousness. The Father of life, the Mother of creation, has put the power of Spirit in us, and such is our word, that our word is of the truth, which enables us to heal the sick and the poor of heart. Everyone has this center of consciousness of the Most High God, and we are one. Science of mind believes in this simplicity, and everyone can understand and practice. Now, taking a look at how it is that we navigate this shift between this profound individuality that we experience and the opportunity to experience living unity. It is love that inspires the shift from individuality into unity consciousness and action. And the experience of human unity inspires the experience of love in return. It's a reciprocal cycle. By nature, Humans are wired to connect with each other and form attachments. When we're born, attachment to caregivers is our survival. This foundational blueprint of connection and attachment continues throughout our lives. Human beings are not intended to be lone wolves. We all have the pattern that says we're impelled to connect and be with each other. When we feel connected, we feel secure. Feeling secure tends to open up the freedom to reach for greater creative expression. We explore our own creativity individually, and we begin to explore what it takes to be creative with others. And where we might not have seen our way through obstacles alone, we find the courage and strength to surpass challenges to what we might want to achieve together. Now, just a little preview about this piece, talking about the power of love bringing us together and giving us the opportunity to surpass the things we've been afraid of. Our community song today, which will happen later, is Through the Eyes of Love, which will speak to that particular point. Now, two other things are naturally happening in experiences of living unity. One is that there is a shared purpose that people come together for. Two, someone is providing the direction for achieving that purpose. For example, in the case of ballroom dance pairs, how many of you guys watch, what's that, Dancing with the Stars? Okay, so those people, oh my goodness, you know, when they're whirling around and they're doing their thing like that, are you actually in that moment, are you looking at one thing or are you looking at two people? It's made up of two, but they move as one. And let's see what I have here. They're a singular expression when they're together with grace and beauty. One of the dancers is always leading and one is following. And that's one of the keys. That's where the surrendering is of that individual creativity. Because what's true, I don't know, I think possibly everyone in here knew Kai. When Kai was here, he is a dancer, and he explained to us one day, and I never would have known in a million years, but when you're dancing, and people talk about stepping on toes and all this kind of stuff, and there's a reason for that. When that happens, generally, both people are trying to lead. He said, if you know what you're doing, then you have one of you that's leading, and it's just a little pressure on the hand or a little this or that that tells the other person, okay, we're going to do this now. And the other person then follows, and then the two come together in this seamless harmony. The well-known metaphysician Thomas Troward taught that the universe thrives on increasing levels of order. This means that creation itself will innately drive creative individuals to come together to fulfill ever-expanding potentials. As we follow these drives, the consequent opportunities for connection ultimately accomplishing something as a unit inspires a bond of love that is also ever expanding. So one of the places that this comes up quite a bit, especially now since we have so many people that are returning from tours of duty and so forth, you know, you'll hear guys talk about their bond to their unit. Well, notice that term unit is the base word of unity. And I never really understood that myself. It was hard for me to grasp. How could someone want to go and be with people that aren't their family? You know, the tour of duty gets over. Don't they want to come home and be with their family? But this is what happens. It's not that they're over there. Well, in a way, it's that they're over there fighting, but it's not the fighting that is the thing. It's having a common goal that they do together and they achieve together, and they create the safety and they create the potential. And that experience of being unified is the thing that so touches their heart. And so the unit, it becomes a thing that has a life of its own, and so they miss that. And I have a story I want to share in just a moment. I'll get down to, but I wanted to share a couple of other thoughts before I share this story of how I came to wanting to share this overall. As I was researching this, I discovered some fascinating things, because there are actually philosophies of unity. I mean, not like a spiritual philosophy, but there are philosophies about how you do unit work on the human level. And one of them is unity by authority. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Unity by authority is when you have one leader, and they're called the authority. Now, families traditionally, back before family structure started to change, especially, usually there was one leader of the family, and especially the kids would be knowing this is the authority. Dad's the authority, you know. And so that is the example of unity by authority. The other is unity by direction. And this is the kind of thing you see like when geese are flying, and you see that V formation. And it's a very common thing. People are now understanding that it's not just one lead goose that does that. It's just that one lead goose has that directive, and they carry the directive. And when you have direction and common purpose, when those things come together, then the unit experience and the unit functioning has an opportunity to automatically fall in. Okay, so you know, as you hear these thoughts, it's like, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense. But somehow I had just never put it together in these kinds of terms to see how it all is playing out in our everyday lives. Let's see here. So, direction, unity, can be done by any member, such as the geese that replace each other so that the leader doesn't get too tired. And as long as they have the direction they want to go and the steps they want to take to get there, it will work. And unity by direction is one of the most effective steps a group can take for developing their mission and vision. And I think most of us, especially if you've ever been in business, everybody knows by now that it's understood you're going to be more successful if you do a mission and vision. So all of this kind of plays together to bring that about. And what I want to suggest to you all is you can do this in your own lives. It doesn't have to be about you know, a larger group. This is a way to maybe reinvigorate what happens in our families, is to use some of these ideas to say, can we pick a project? Can we come together and see about developing a mission and vision, and allow that organic process to open up the ability to feel unified with each other? Now, I'm going to tell you the story briefly of how this came to me, because this is just, it absolutely amazed me. I mean, I literally had to sit down and just take it in and pray a little bit. I had the privilege of interviewing 3 men who were born triplets. And living triplets, it happens, but you know, it's a little bit rare. And the thing about these guys, though, is that they did not stay with their original family. They were born like in the early 70s, and they went through 6 foster homes within the first 18 months of their lives. And the truly amazing thing about that is that they were never separated. Somehow, God blessed the foster care people, because the chances of 3 newborns being fostered that many times and not getting separated is amazing. And so one of the causes for them needing to be fostered had to do with there wasn't adequate care for them. And because there was not adequate care for them, they were so bonded that they believed all of their names were Joe. Their names were actually Joe, Jeff, and Jesse, but they all thought their name was Joe until they could talk. That's how incredibly unified they were. And that identity with each other is really what carried them through what they went through in their lives. And so Jesse is the one who told me this part of the story that I want to share with you. He was in the military briefly and ascended really quickly. And he didn't even realize why when he was in the military. And he got out of the military and he ended up working for the police force. And he became the youngest battalion commander in the police force. This was in Louisiana. And actually, he was 34 years old, and he'd already been battalion commander for like 4 years. And he says, let's see. When I think of going into the military and the police force, being a triplet created my center of knowing that when you put other people with you, you get a sense of more power through unity and togetherness. Both in the military and on the police force, I learned the way to teach many individuals how to become a functioning unit together. I don't know if I consciously thought about it, but it did put me ahead of the game, so to speak, because a lot of people don't have the experience of working closely in a group like that. That's why maybe I rose in the ranks fairly fast in the Army, and I'm the youngest person in my position right now, and I'm a supervisor. I think it is probably in part, to use one of your words, an organic knowledge of what it means to be a unit, being stronger together and working together, communicating with each other. It's not the same in the Army as it is in the police force, but with me and my brothers, it's because we're so deeply rooted from the very beginning. And so I want to give us an opportunity now to do a little meditation, and I'm going to follow this with a little experiential exercise. And so let's drop back to that still space and breathe. Just take a moment to find your own center, and then feel the presence of the people around you. Recognizing that as we are all one of the same source, even though we're expressed individually, there are those threads. There is that paradigm inside us that brings us together to function in unity. Now I'm going to describe to you what we're going to do, and Miss Pat Ferguson is going to help me a little bit. We're going to do a little writing exercise, and some of you may have done this in a class before, and this is very simple. You're only going to write one line, okay? But I have a piece of paper here, and it has a line on it, and I'm going to give this to Pat. She's going to read the line, and then she's going to write a line underneath it, and it doesn't have to be, don't worry about where you put it on paper. You can give yourself as much room as you need, and then after you write your line, you're going to fold it over to where your line is the only line that can be seen. The paper is going to end up like an accordion, okay? And so, because the thing is, Pat's going to see the line I wrote, and she's going to take that in, and she's going to write something off of it. And then she's going to fold it over, and whoever she hands it to is only going to see her line. And then you're going to take that into your heart, and you're going to write whatever comes to you, okay? And we will just see how this goes. Thank you, Miss Patricia. Oh, and we might need to, I don't know if we can get a book or something to pass around. Oh, Mr. Bowe is going to take care of it. Yeah, that'll be good. He's going to get a clipboard. Now, thank you, Rob. So, this is the combined effort. Love springs eternally into limitless life. I feel the roots of that steadying me. In the unity, I feel the flow of expanding energy. Energy is as us all. We are one with it. We can co-create and manifest our heart's desires. The oneness is as filled with wonderful vibration. All out of that vibration are all people and are wonderful. All is now happening as is breath and life together. Focus moments, we can choose again to be in there's one word I can't read there. In God's way. There is only love. Every day is a new day to be aware of God and each other. And know that we are all one. Each present moment is a new opportunity to do something meaningful. The only time in our control is now. I am blessed by God. So that was the first reading of this. But if you guys are okay with it, what I'll do is I'll put this in the community corner for the weekly newsletter, and then you can actually have it and know that it is ours. And I am well aware of, we have a time thing going on. So where can we pick up here? The next thing is the offering. And probably we're going to skip the community song, I would imagine. Do we have someone for offering? Thank you, Susan.
Okay. Just a reminder that you can use the device in the back of the square if you choose to use your debit or credit card. And please join me in the prosperity affirmation that's in the bulletin on the right side. If the only prayer I say today is thank you, it is enough. Yes.
And so we do know the truth within and expressed in, as, and through just blessing these offerings, knowing that they are multiplied and go forth to what is good and more good for our center and for the community. Thank you, everybody. And so I think the best thing we can do, given our time, is to go straight to announcements, I would think. Would be a good idea. So, Pat, if you got announcements, or Gordon's got, Gordon.
Okay, I have a joke here. You're gonna love this one. What does a gingerbread man, what does a gingerbread man use to make his bed? Cookie sheets. Those are awesome. I love those jokes. I'm going to start out by introducing my beloved Margot. Some of you have been on, some of you have her here today. She is just an absolute gem in my life. Okay, Gordon, Vicky has something to say about our new, is this really Sunday morning?
Yes.
Okay, Victoria.
So here's the good news. Starting January 6th, not to be confused, the first time will be January 6th. We will be having services at 10:30 in the mornings on Sundays at Reverend Carolyn and Bob's home at 222 West Park Place in Jeffersonville. So let me make sure y'all are hearing that correctly. We are going to be moving from here and going to Carolyn and Bob's for Sunday services as of the 6th of January. While we love the beautiful and welcoming space of Unity of East Louisville, the 5 p.m. time, we've discovered we miss the warmth and freshness of Sunday mornings. Many people have trouble either getting here at this hour or traveling in the dark afterwards. So while we continue to look for our perfect home, we will now be meeting across the river at 222 West Park Place in Jeffersonville. And for those of you who have some concerns about tolls, remember there are no tolls on the 2nd Street Bridge, and if you use the other bridges and need a little help on the tolls with your first few crossings, getting used to this change, let Carolyn know. And the first Sunday of the new year, January 6th, will also be our monthly social Sunday, and plan on Tilly. And we look forward to seeing you all there, and possibly some people we haven't been able to see for a while. So if anybody has any questions about this is another change. So just catch us today or call us if you want to talk.
It sounds like it's also be appropriate if we run into other members of our church to remind them of this change if they haven't.
Yes, there was a special, this very notice was also put out on Constant Contact, so it is going out. And we're going to be making some calls and so forth to people that we know that don't do so much electronics. So, thank you.
Good, you bet, super. Also, y'all know Steve, and he's hosting our men's group this on January 3rd, yes, 1 to 3, and it's at 6 o'clock, 6 to 7 at his place. And if, well, let's see, there's another guy, well, there's a few guys here. Out here, we don't have too many, but yeah, it's a fun to be had by all. You want to say anything about bringing your own pizza or not?
No, I'll provide it, so just come as you are.
Okay, just come as you are.
Enjoy, yeah.
This is it,
Be
yeah.
yourself.
Bring anything male, right? Dogs, cats, our attitude.
That's fine.
Yeah, okay, it'll all be good. All right.
I think that's it.
Is that it?
Oh.
Oh, Beverly, though, is our practitioner of the day. Beverly, okay, yeah. They'll be in the back. And join me in saying our monthly affirmation found on the inside right of your bulletin. Okay, here we go. I bless my life. I bless the world. I bless each person I meet. Yes. Thank you.
You, Gordon. And now we have our song of going forth, which is this month we're doing
Let There Be Peace on Earth. Stand as you're
Blessings.
able, if you'd like, to join us.
Thank you, everybody.